Welcome to the practice of today. Today we're going to dive into a very flossy, mellow kind of mobility class. And I suggest you keep a block for the practice. If you don't have one, no worries. I just like to keep it around, especially for mobility if you need that extra support or that extra height underneath a palm. So yeah, keep it close to you if you have one. And we're going to get started at the back of our mat in a child's pose. So big toes to touch. The knees are going to come out wide. You're going to walk the palms forward. Let the pinky edges of your fingers graze the edges of the mat and just rest the forehead down. And take a big breath in. Slow down your exhale. And as you exhale, can you also press a little bit through the elbows to melt the chest closer? Maybe you shift the hips a little bit side to side. Just do whatever you need to do to arrive in the body, in the mind. Pressing a little bit through all 10 fingertips. Slow down your exhales. And just establish a breath where exhales become slightly longer than your in-breaths. And if you can, and if it's accessible, you breathe in and out through the nose. Keeping this breath for the rest of the practice. It's going to be a very, as I said, flossy and mellow. We're going to move slow, but intentional. Knowing that this space we're in right now, child's pose, is always available to you during the practice if you need a space to just take a step back. Take one more big breath in, fill up. Slow down your exhale. Sealing the lips and walking both hands over to your left. So shifting the torso to the left as well, and see if you can reach the right fingertips just slightly further forward than the left. Shifting the right rib cage down. So you're pressing through the right elbow to really get into the right side body. You rest the forehead if it's accessible. And here, if the head is sort of hovering, a block can be super nice to put underneath the forehead, just so you don't cause any tension around the neck, shoulders. Take a big breath in. Big breath out. We're going to stay with the hands over to the left. You're going to lift the hips from the heels. You're going to walk the knees underneath the hips and walk them a little bit closer towards one another. The hands are going to walk underneath the shoulders. You're going to take an in-breath and arch, drop the belly, lift the gaze. And then exhale, you're going to pop up until the fingertips and round the back body, chin into the chest. So moving through a couple of rounds of cat-cow, but just a little bit different. So we're working more in the side body here, different places in the spine. And I like to shift a little bit forward when I'm down. And then when I'm shifting up to the fingertips, I like to rock a little bit back into the right side. So you just find a flow that feels good to you. But find a flow where it matches to the rhythm of your breath. So you match your inhale with dropping belly, lifting gaze, and only when you're done with your inhale, you exhale, pop up until the fingertip and shift the movement. So a few more here. Nice. And slowly from here, coming back to the palms. The left hand is going to stay out to the left side, more or less aligned with the left knee, and you're going to straighten out the right leg out to the right side. Let the right toes point directly to the space in front of you, and take 3 big circles with the right arm, not only reaching in the space in front of you, but also a little bit to the space behind you, maybe even shifting the gaze, and let the eyes follow the fingertips. Nice. One more big circle. And then you're going to swap it out. So shifting direction of the circles, and again reaching also to the space behind you. Try not to sink into the left shoulder. So we have a tendency to sort of like drop a little bit into the shoulder, but you want to push and lift out of it. Nice. Stay with the right fingertips up to the sky and pause. And on your exhale, you're going to bend the right elbow, shift the chest a little bit closer up to the sky. Right elbow traces down. I'm feeling this one. Inhale, you extend the right arm. Exhale, you cactus. One more time, inhale. Exhale. Stay here. Nice. Drop the neck down. Sweet. Lifting out of the bottom shoulder by pressing firmly through all 5 of left fingertips. From here, you're going to hover that right foot. You're going to bend the right knee, and you're going to catch onto the right ankle. So I'm just going to turn so you guys can see what's going on. So you're grabbing onto the right ankle here. And I don't want you to like push the chest forward. This is more of a back bend. You can do that if you want the stretch more to the back and the shoulder blades, but we want to attack more the front of the right thigh here. So you want to tuck the tailbone underneath you. Nice. And then you want to shift the right knee a little bit down. Yeah? Sweet. And then you open up the right shoulder, tuck the tailbone. So this is way more in the front side of the right thigh. And you just stick with it for a few deep breaths. And of course, if you want to get a little bit more into the shoulder blades, you open it up and kick into the right hand. But personally, I need it more in the front thigh. This is one of the tightest muscles that we have usually, because when we are very active with either running or walking, this muscle tends to get really tight. So you're welcome with this stretch. Nice. You're going to release the right foot and extend it back to where it came from. Nice. So right toes are still reaching to the front. You're going to lift the upper body up. Right fingertips traces down the right leg. Left arm goes up and over. It's not about how far this left fingertips are going. It's more about pivoting the chest open. So you see the left hip is going a little bit to the left here. Maybe gaze up to the left fingertips. Nice. Big breath in. Exhale, hands are going to come right in front of you. Sweet, right underneath the shoulders. And then from here, you're going to tuck onto the back toes, and you're just going to shift backwards, crack, and forwards a couple of times. So you don't have to move that far back to feel this one. And I want you to focus on keeping your spine long here. So don't like round and just like move like this. This is not going to give you anything. You want to move like through honey, like slow, pressing firmly through that right pinky toe, and then send the hips back forward. If this is hurting your left knee, you can always like double layer your mat. This is a very thin mat I got. So I could need like a triple layer with this mat. It's like a 1.5. A little bit stupid, but it's nice to travel with. Sweet. So shifting a little bit more. Backwards, forwards, feel it out. If you're not feeling it enough, you can always come back to neutral and then shift the left knee a little bit further out. Then you feel it. Or I felt that at least. Like micro adjustments can make a really big difference. So you're never stuck in one place. Always, if you feel like you're stuck, just move around, feel it out. There's no like yoga pose that is accurate or is gonna look the same for any person. So feel it out, how your body responds, and navigate after that. Okay, one more. Sweet. Coming back, if you lifted the left knee a little bit out to the side, you move it back underneath the hip. Make the mat nice again. Sweet. From here, untug that left toe and you're going to swing the right leg around. You're going to bend the right knee. Don't you worry, we're going to get back to the other side. See if I can remember this whole sequence on the other side. Sweet. From here, you're going to open up the right hip, squeeze that right heel into the glute, and you're going to just like make the bigger circles that you can with the right knee, getting really deep into the hip socket. Nice. And you can let go of the core a little bit here. So you can arch a little bit, round. Just making as big of a circle as you can, moving slow and intentional. Nice. And this is actually also a little bit of glute work if you haven't discovered that already. Nice. Sweet. From here, open up the hip and pause. You're going to step the right foot to the outside edges of the right hand. Walk the hands a little bit further forward. Tuck onto the left toes and just shuffle the left knee a little bit back. So you land in a low lizard lunge. The block is really helpful here. You can keep it under, if you have two, perfect. So you can keep it stacked underneath the palms. Otherwise, just one block can also be enough. And here I just want you to flush it out. So you send the chest forward. And then you're going to extend that front leg, peel the toes off the floor and shift the hips back. So we're just moving backwards and forwards. Very flossy mobility work. And again, if that left knee is suffering from the surface underneath it, you double layer your mat. You can always put a pillow underneath it. Nice. Moving with your breath, in breath to send the chest forward, exhale to send the hips back. And see if you can move with your tailbone. So when you're forward, you shift it down and forward, and then you move with the tailbone back. Like a little bit sexy. Nice. Moving slow. Nice. Sweet. Next time you have a bend in the right knee, you're going to pause. If you're up until the block, you stay there. You're going to squeeze that left knee into the glute. And then I just want you to shift the knee like side to side. So actually the knee stays on the floor, but you shift. So maybe you can tap the inside of the left foot to the floor onto the right side. And then you move it to the other side. Yeah, it doesn't have to touch, but this is like really deep mobility work into the inner thigh. And you also move with the front foot here. So you can move to the outside edges. I just want you to feel it out. Maybe you're just like a little bit in here, and that's okay. Nice. Sweet. And slowly from here, coming back into center, you're going to straighten out through the front leg again, tuck onto the back toes, move the block out of the way, hands to the floor, swing the right leg around again. Right knee comes underneath the right hip, tuck onto the toes, lift back, downward facing dog. Here, just paddle it out. Bend one knee, bend the other, flush it out. Here, I want you to focus on your chest, having a high tailbone. So it's not so much about having straight legs. That's a myth. In downward facing dog, we want a long spine. So if you take a look at me, having a long spine sometimes requires your knees to be super bent. So you see now my knees are very bent, but my tailbone is also super high. And I'm pressing firmly through the fingertips to push the chest back to the front thighs. When you are in this space, then you can start to working through straight legs, but your tailbone doesn't move. Yeah? Sweet. So don't worry about your legs. It's more about pushing the chest to the front thighs, getting a long spine. Sweet. From here, you're moving forward into a high plank. You're going to pause. You're going to lower the knees down to the floor. Walk the hands a little bit forward. And then bend the elbows lower all the way down to the belly. Nice. Getting the block out of the way. You're going to tent the fingertips out wide. Forehead down. So already here, if you activate and press firmly through all 10 fingertips, you're going to feel it in between the shoulder blades. Pointing the elbows up to the sky. You keep this activation and you keep the gaze down as you take an in-breath and lift the forehead, lift the chest off the floor. At the top, you can lift the gaze and then you exhale, melt down slowly. Inhale to lift. Exhale, lower down. If this feels pinchy in the lower back, you widen out the legs a little bit and give yourself more space. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower down. Last one. Exhale, lower down. Send the palms underneath the shoulders. Press yourself back to a child's pose. Big toes to touch, knees out wide. This time flip so the palms are facing up to the sky and the pinky fingers are towards one another. Pressing a little bit through the elbows. Again, ground the forehead down and we're back to where we started. Focus on establishing your breath here again. Maybe you shift the hips a little bit side to side. Maybe you shuffle the hands a little bit further forward. Really find that length from pinky edges of your fingers up to the shoulders, down your side bodies, to the hips. Returning the palms back down to the floor. You lift the torso slightly so you can walk both hands over to the right, reaching the left fingertips a little bit further forward. And on your next exhale, see if you can shift that left elbow and rib cage down. So you're contracting on the right side and expanding on the left, grounding the forehead down to the floor. Breathing. Elongating your exhales. And just let gravity take your chest down. Another big breath in. Slow exhale back out. Staying with the hands over to the right side. You're going to shift the hips away from the heels. Walk the knees a little bit closer so they're hip width distance. Hands are going to walk underneath the shoulders. And then from here, drop the belly, lift the gaze, shift the weight a little bit forward into the wrist. And then on your exhale, you're going to round and pop up until the fingertips. Send the weight back and to the left side. So working through a couple rounds of side cat-cow. Nice. This is really one of my favorites lately. I feel like it works so differently into the side body and into the spine compared to a traditional cat and cow. Nice. I feel more. I feel like this sage here is keeping the mosquitoes away, but not the flies. At least they don't bite. They're just a little bit tedious. Nice. Slowly returning back to the palms and paws. Right fingertips are going to be aligned with the right knee facing away from you, and you're going to extend that left leg with the toes pointing to the top of the mat. Take 3 big circles with the left arm coming to the space behind you and also in front of you. And imagine again that you're moving through honey here. So move slow, getting into the full range of the shoulder. Filling into the space between the shoulder blades. Nice. And then swapping direction of the circles. You can send the hips a little bit forward and pressing firmly through the right palm to lift out of the right shoulder joint. Nice. Staying with the right fingertips up to the sky next time you're there, and then you cactus and open up the chest. Man, I'm really feeling this one. I've been surfing a lot lately and I'm so sore. My whole upper body, everything hurts. So this is so good. Nice. You inhale and you extend that left arm back up, and then use your exhale to bend the elbow and dive deep. Last one. Exhale. Stay here. Shift the gaze forward. Hover the left foot. Bend the left knee and catch onto the outside edges of the left foot here. And again, from here, there's 2 variations to this one. If you want the stretch for the front of the left thigh, you shift the hips a little bit back, or like actually you tuck the tailbone more in, and then you send the knee a little bit down. Yeah? Pressing the left heel into the glute. If you want more towards a back bend and into the shoulder blades, you kick into the left hand and you open up the chest. Yeah? So 2 variations. Nice. You choose whatever you need. And we have a tendency here when we're stretching, especially the left front thigh, that we will start to open up the upper body a little bit to compensate, but you want to keep like sort of rounding just a tiny bit in the spine to keep the stretch. Nice. You let go of the left foot, extend it back, and then you shift the upper body up. Left hand traces down the left leg, right arm reaches up and over. Opening up the chest, pivoting open. Nice. Big breath in. And exhale, grounding both hands right underneath the shoulders. You're going to tuck onto the back toes and again, just flush it out. Shifting the hips backwards and forwards. And again, you don't need to go that far back towards the back heel to feel this one. Just move within your capacity. And the most important thing here is that you keep this left outer edge grounded to the floor, then you stay in the stretch. And if you're looking for more, you open up the right hip a little bit, so sending the right knee a little bit out to the side, and you will feel the stretch will shift. Nice. When we're working with mobility, breath is really key to keep things flowing and preventing things from not getting stuck. So actively really breathe when you're moving and bouncing around. Nice. If you're holding your breath, you're tensing up, and then you're basically working against what we're doing. So keep breathing. Just find a pattern that works for you. Nice. Slowly send the shoulders back on top of the wrist. Walk the right knee back underneath the hip. Untuck the back toe. You're going to shift that left leg back. You're going to bend into the left knee and start to draw these big circles in the left hip. Nice. So again, you can let go of the core here. Just getting into the spine, into the hip, and draw as big of a circle as you can, squeezing the left heel into the glute. Nice. Pressing a little bit out of the floor. So you don't want to collapse in the shoulder blades here. Press out of it. Take 3 more big circles. My right glute is on fire. I don't know about you. Opening up the left hip and pause, stepping left foot to the outside edges of the left hand or grab and pull it. Walk the hands a little bit further forward, tuck onto the back toes and just shuffle that right knee back. And again, you can stay here on the hands or you can grab onto 1 or 2 blocks and place it underneath the palms just to get a little bit of height. And then we're just gonna flush it out. I've said that too many times in this practice already, but it really is what it's all about today. So you send the hips forward, chest high, and then hips back, straighten out through the front leg, peel the toes off the floor. When you're back here, I actually like to keep the toes untucked. When you're back here, I don't want you to be here. Keep the spine straight, and then you will feel way more activation and stretch the back of this left leg, and keeping a little micro bend in it, and then just moving backwards and forwards in any pace that feels good to you. Nice. Broadening through the collarbones when you're forward. Rounding a little bit on the way back, but keeping the spine relatively straight. Sweet. Let's take 3 more rounds. And then next time you are bent into the front knee, you pause here. You're going to squeeze the right knee into the glute. Maybe this is where you stay, or maybe you shift it a little bit side to side. Imagine your windshield wiper, the right shin side to side. Maybe you tap the inside of the right foot. Nice. I actually need to be down on the floor for this one. This feels a little bit better. And you can also rock to the outside edges of that front foot, remembering that if you have any pain in the knee, don't go there. Just do enough that feels enough. You know what I mean? You don't want to push this one too far because this is kind of deep mobility work. Nice. You just do whatever feels good. Maybe you just stay here. Yeah? Nice. On this side, I'm actually just gonna be here. Take 1 or 2 deep breaths in and out. And we will meet with the left leg extended, left toes point up to the sky. Walk the hands a little bit closer to you so you can swing that right leg around. And then ground the left knee next to the right. Tuck onto the toes, lift the knees, send the hips back. Downward facing dog. Walk the hands a little bit further forward if you need to. And again, a really generous bend in the knees here to get a long spine. And just walk it out again. Bend one knee, bend the other. Shake the head, yes. And no. And then you're going to take micro steps to a forward fold to the top of the mat. So walking feet to the hands, and you can totally be on the fingertips if you need to, with a really generous bend in the knees, and you land in a forward fold. You clasp opposite elbows and you take a little sway side to side. Relaxing your neck. From here, you're going to release the clasp of the elbows. Take a slow roll all the way up to stand, sweeping the arms up and over. And then you exhale, let the palms face to the front. Let the arms hang next to the body, closing down the eyes. Just taking a moment. The dogs are here. They love to hang out at the pool. Now one of them is swimming. But not in the pool, but you know, the pool where the water goes so it cleans. Oh, that's so good. Nice. Widen out the legs a little bit. Take a big breath in, sweep the arms up and over. And then you exhale, you sit down into a Malasana yogi squat. If this is not accessible, you can either take a block and actually like sit on it. You can sit here. You can also be like up here, all right? And we're just shifting a little bit side to side. I actually like to have the block in front of me so I can create a little bit of length in my arms and tuck the chin into the chest and just isolate this one in the hips. So usually in a Malasana yogi squat, we actually want a straight spine, but I love this for mobility work in the hips. And the ankles. Nice. From here, slowly lift the upper body back up. Send the arms behind you. And then coming all the way down into a seat. Shift the feet right in front of you. Hands walk a little bit back with the fingertips pointing towards the heels. You're going to take an in-breath and you're going to lift the hips up. And you're just going to shift a little bit backwards and forwards. Nice. Getting into the wrists, the shoulders. Lifting out of the shoulder joint. These dogs are like having or living their best lives here. That's so great. There's like 4 dogs. And they all love the pool. And people. And food. Nice. Sending the hips as close to the heels as you can. Oof. And then push the chest forward. Ooh. I'm feeling it. I hope you're feeling it too. Nice. Stretch out the legs. Sweep the arms up and over. And then you exhale, you fold forward. And from here, I'm just going to shift a little bit back. But from here, I want you to really find a good bend in the knees. So much so you can catch onto the feet. So if you're in here, that's good enough, yeah? You can actually start in here. And then you see how far you can move forward. And when you feel that point where you cannot go any further, that's where you stop. This is a little bit different than getting the stretch in for the backs of the legs. Here, I want you to find the wrist creases with your toes. And then I want you to use your toes as sort of like a gas pedal in a car. So you press through the left foot towards the left wrist, the wrist creases of the left hand. And you will feel so nice stretch here in the left shoulder and on the back. Nice, so you just like keep like speeding with one foot and the other foot. And this also works in here. Yeah? Find a little bit, if you're in here, find a little bit of a space between arm and leg. Nice. So just gas, paddling it out. Also, a very favorite of mine. Nice. Sweet. And slowly from here, you're gonna release. You're gonna bend the knees, send the hips closer to the heels so you can come all the way laying down onto the back body. Nice. When you get here, pull the knees into the chest. Let one hand rest on top of one knee, or actually just hands to knees. That's what I wanted to say. And then I just want you to draw circles with hands on knees. So just opening up the hips and closing them out. And swapping direction. Nice. Next time the knees are into the chest, you're going to pause there. You're going to keep the legs where they're at. The arms are going to come out wide and you're going to drop both knees over to the left. The left hand can come to the right knee and you can shift the eyes over towards the right fingertips. And I actually find that the more the knees are a little bit away from me, the more I feel the stretch into my spine. And you can also play around with arching a little bit into the back body and rounding. That's also going to shift the stretch for you. So it's like very, very micro movements that you send the chest a little bit forward or you round and tuck the tailbone a little bit underneath you. So I find that when I arch, it's more in my lower back. And when I round, it's actually more around my chest and the armpit. So you just find your sweet spot and hang out there for a few breaths. Extending the left arm back out to a T, using the core to bring the knees back into the chest, and then straight over to the other side. So stacking the knees, you can always put a block in between the knees as well. Right hand can come to the top of the left knee and shift the legs a little bit away from you. And then again, play around with sending the chest a little bit forward or rounding the spine. But I want you to focus also on keeping this left shoulder down. So don't let it hang up here. I see this a lot. You want to relax it down to the floor. And if you need to adjust the legs in order for that to happen, you do that. One more big breath in. Exhale, extend the right arm, coming back to center. Hug the knees into the chest, wrap the arms around the shins, lift the forehead up to the knees, give yourself a little hug. Maybe shift a little bit side to side as well, onto the lower back, middle back. And then whenever you feel ready, you're going to let everything go. You can extend the legs. You're going to let the arms come down by your sides, palms facing up. Taking a moment to find small micro adjustments to settle into a physical space that feels sweet and good to you. I like to slide the neck a little bit long, so the back of the head slides a little bit to the top, chin slightly in. And just land here, Shavasana. filling up the lungs and slowing down your exhales. Feel into the areas that we've worked with today, the hips, the shoulders. And as important it is to work in those areas, it is also just as important to then release and let it go when you're done with practice. So soften into these areas. The work is done. And I encourage you to stay here as long as you would like. I'm going to leave you here and say thank you as always for moving and practicing with me. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.